feel like I have to start by thanking the Olam from pulling me out of my house and bringing me into this Gan Eden where we're singing songs about Yantif and sitting with B'nai Torah 24 hours, less than 24 hours before Rosh Hashana. It's a tremendous, tremendous chus, and I appreciate the time that I'm spending with you. When we talk before Rosh Hashanah, we can't afford the luxury of just saying pretty Divrei Torah. There's such a thing as pretty Divrei Torah. But before Rosh Hashanah, we have to talk Lamaisa. We have a job to do. We have a big day coming, and we have to be ready for it. And that's going to be my focus. Of course, we turn towards the Torah to know how to position ourselves for the Yimei Hadin. But the goal is to walk into Yantif with something. That's the goal of getting together on an Erev Yantif, is to walk into Yantif with a plan. But to make things interesting, I want to ask the Rosh Hashiva to be mechabed me with something. And that is that I'm about to speak for a few minutes, and the Rosh Hashiva has no idea what I'm about to say. But I would like that after we're done, that we should sing a song, and then we hear a Hisafa from the Rosh Hashiva. That's my request.
I can't turn you down.
There's one question that when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, every Ben Torah bumps into this question at some point in his years of Aliyah, and that is the order of Rosh Hashanah before Yom Kippur. At some point, every Ben Torah reaches a point where it stops making sense to him that Yom Kippur should come after Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the day of Din. Shouldn't we have done the Yemei HaTshuva before that? There's a Gemara, Rosh Hashanah Daf Tez Zayin. The Gemara says that the Din of Rosh Hashanah is specifically on the Maisim of a person at that time, on Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara brings a pasuk that we lane on Rosh Hashanah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw Yishmael ba'asher hu sham, the way he was then. Even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that he was going to become a Rasha, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu judged Yishmael based on the way he was then. Rabbeinu Chananel there on the Amud brings a Yerushalmi that brings a different pasuk. The Yerushalmi says, doesn't bring the pasuk of Yishmael of ba'asher hu sham. The Yerushalmi brings the pasuk, Im zach v'yoshar ata, if you are pure and straight. And the Yerushalmi is medayik. It doesn't say Im zach v'yoshar hayisa. It doesn't say if you were pure or straight. It just says if you are pure or straight, seeming to indicate that the din on Rosh Hashanah is on the way you are on the day of Rosh Hashanah, regardless of who you were before Rosh Hashanah. That seems almost impossible to say such a thing. How could you say so? What's the din then? What's a din if not on the way I was until now? And yet, Rabbeinu Chananel brings the Yerushalmi that the pashtus of the Yerushalmi is that the din of Rosh Hashanah is not only that there's no cheshbon of what's going to be in the future, it's just on the way you are now, but there's not even a cheshbon of the way you were until now. A person could have been who knows where, who knows what until now, but the din of Rosh Hashanah is on Rosh Hashanah. And of course, as much as we like that, but we have to understand what it means. How could that be? There's a din on Rosh Hashanah. What's the din on Rosh Hashanah? And finally, before we start clarifying what Rosh Hashanah is, I want to say over a question that the Rosh Hashiva, Zechreinu Livracha, that Rav Hutner asks in the Yom Kippur Pachad Yitzchak, Maimer Lamed Daled, where he points out that every bracha of Shemona Esrei, and this is not just Nagea for this time of year, this is Nagea for the whole year, that every bracha in Shemona Esrei ends off, Baruch Atah Hashem, something HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. Goyal Yisrael, Roifei Chaylei, Mevarech Hashanim. Every bracha ends Baruch Atah Hashem, something HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. Except for one bracha that ends not with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, but with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Haroitze b'tshuva. What's different about the bracha of tshuva that the Baruch Atah Hashem is not a pu'ula that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, but a ratzon, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. The Avodah of Rosh Hashanah, our job on Rosh Hashanah, the way I learned from my Rabbeim is echoed in the Divrei Chazal. The Chazal say, and Chazal say this lashon of kivan she'amaditem lefanai bedin, that as soon as you stood in front of me bedin, ki ilu na'asisem beria chadasha, it's like you were recreated. The question is, what did I do? I stood in din. What did I do that now it's like I'm recreated? And the way this was explained to us was that my job on Rosh Hashanah is to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My job on Rosh Hashanah is to present myself to the Melech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hineni, I am here, I am your Eved. This is who I am. Sometimes over the year we can get distracted about who we truly are. And Rosh Hashanah is a day that we have an Avodah and a special kayach, that we could go deep, deep, deep within ourselves and we could clarify who we really are. Who am I really? What is my real tafkid? What do I really, really want? And when I present in front of the Rabbeinu Shalom, and the Rabbeinu Shalom is deciding on the din, and I present myself in front of the Rabbeinu Shalom, I've looked deeply within myself, with the help of the shofar, with the help of the cry of the shofar, waking me up, Uru Yishena Mishinaschem, waking me up, making me realize that so much of the fog, of the distractions, of the Yetzaharas, of the issues, of the problems, of the challenges were a distraction from what I as a person, what I really, really, really want in this life, which is Va'ani Kirvas Elokim Li Tov. I want to be an Eved Hashem. That's what I want. And I declare in front of the Rabbeinu Shalom, here I am. I'm ready to do what you want, Rabbeinu Shalom. I'm ready. That's called Amadatem Lefanai Bedin. You presented yourself to the Melech. Ooh, you presented yourself to the Melech? Kivan she'amadatem lefanai bedin, you become like a new person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Yivra. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that there should be a Gezar Din L'chaim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at you as if you recreated yourself. And that's the pshat in the Rach, the Rabbeinu Chananel, and the Yerushalmi. Rosh Hashanah is not a day that we concern ourselves with the past. We'll talk about that in a minute. Rosh Hashanah is not a day that we concern ourselves with the past. Rosh Hashanah is a day that I reach deeply within myself and I think about, and when I'm mispalel, when I'm oimid lifnei hamelech, this is what I present to the Rabbeinu Shalom, this is what I want. And you see this. You see this because every day we daven Shemona Esrei and we ask Hashem for what we need. Das, tshuva, geula, refuah, parnasa. We ask Hashem for what we need. On Rosh Hashanah, as you know, if you've been flipping through the machzor, you've noticed there's very little asking Hashem for what we need on Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, the davenings, v'chein tein pachtecho, v'chein tzadikim, the tefillas, the malchias, the chroinos and shofros, the thrust, the sense that you get from going through a Rosh Hashanah davening is that I'm here to daven for Malchus Shamayim. I'm davening that the world should be full of kavod Shamayim. I'm davening for the yeda kol pa'ul ki ata pa'altoi v'yovin kol yitzur ki ata yitzartoi. I want the world to recognize Hashem. I want the world, instead of the terrible bizyonos that Klal Yisrael gets all over the world, and it gets worse and worse. I want the world to recognize that Klal Yisrael is the Am Hashem and the Am HaNivchar. And I want to see that the tzaddikim and the yesharim and the chasidim could live their fullest selves with the simcha, with the unbridled simcha of someone who's serving the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's what I want. And someone might ask you, that's what you want? The whole year you were saying, I want to be healthy, I want money, I want this, I want that. Yeah, that's the whole year. But on Rosh Hashanah, I'm focused on what I really want. Underneath it all, at the deepest core of my being, what I want. And you know what I really want? You know what I discover on Rosh Hashanah? When we blow shofar once, and then we blow shofar again, and then again, and each time the shofar tears away at all the coverings over my heart. And by the time Rosh Hashanah is over, I realize what I want, all those things I daven for maybe could help me. But what I want is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's who I am. That's what I want. Now, tshuva, what's tshuva? Tshuva is, as the Mesilas Yesharim says, tshuva is an unbelievable chiddush. Tshuva is like saying that if you have apples in your house and you don't want them, so the way to get rid of them is to cut down the apple tree. You can't cut down the tree after the apples are already picked. It's not shayach. But tshuva says you can. Because the core, the source of what you did is what you want, is your ratzon, is your bechira. That's the source, that's the tree. And the actions that you did, those are the peiros of your machshava. And usually, the peiros of your machshava are no longer attached to your machshava. I think about this sometimes in today's world, where it used to be, if you wanted to write someone a letter saying how much you hate them, so you had to take out a pen and paper, and you had to write the letter, then you had to look for a stamp, and then you had to find an envelope, and then you had to address it, and go to the mailbox. So somewhere along the way, you were like, you know what, I'm not going to send the letter. But today, all you have to do is press send. And a lot of people end up pressing send, and be like, oh, what did I do? I can't take it back anymore. I'm told that there's even a feature on emails that it waits a minute before it sends it because it knows that you're going to be mischaret. It does it for you. But what's the vart? The vart is that once I let go of the maisa, I can't pull it back. And tshuva says that I can. Tshuva says that if my ratzon, if my desire is no longer to do that action, and I express that desire by charata, by azivas achet, by vidoy, by kabbalah ala asid, by all of the parts of tshuva I express, that's not my ratzon anymore. The maisa vanishes. It's an unbelievable chiddush. Tshuva is clarifying what I want. So Rabbi say, doesn't it follow that the Yumei HaTshuva should come after Rosh Hashanah? Doesn't that follow? That I spend the days of Rosh Hashanah, how could I possibly be kaiveya what I want if I don't know who I am? How could I possibly do that? So of course we spend 2 days of Rosh Hashanah in this world of V'yeda kol pa'ul ki ata pa'alta, in this world of Malchus Shamayim, in this world of Malchias, in this world of Rabbeinu Shalom. I finally realized I was so distracted from everything during the year, but now standing here with my machzer in a yeshiva with the sound of the tefillah, it's clear to me that all I want, Rabbeinu Shalom, is to be close to you. Show me the path, how to do that. When you come out of Rosh Hashanah, you look at everything differently. Yaks and I were in Eretz Yisrael this summer, and we spent a day in Bnei Brak. So we went to the Chazon Ish's house, and they have a whole presentation now by the Chazon Ish's house. A whole presentation. It was fascinating, but even more gripping was the Chazon Ish's house. And seeing the table and chair that this Masmir Hadairos sat by. And the bed. You know the bed? You know the Chazon Ish's bed? The Chazon Ish's bed, that was the bed that the Welt says that when he wrote Ein HaSefer Tachas Yadi, and the Sfarim Shrank is right across the room, he had learned with such hasmada, and he had so no strength left, that he would write, I don't have the Sefer, because he couldn't walk the 4 amas to get to the bookcase. That Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish that one time fell and onto the floor before he got to the bed because he didn't cheshbon how much strength he has left to bring himself to the bed when he finished learning. And we saw that the table was pretty close to the bed. And when you walk out of a house like that, and Yaks and I both felt this, and I'm not going to tell you the conversations we had after the Chazon Ish's house, but we walked out of there, and you just look at the whole world differently after that. The Chazon Ish wasn't even there. But you just don't look at the world the same way after you become in such close contact as we could come, without learning Chazon Ish, actually. We felt that when we went to Panavish and we looked around and there was a middle of Seder, there was a middle of the Zman still. And we were taking it in, we were just soaking in the yeshiva. You don't go back to regular life after that the same way. You look at everything differently, you reassess. And that's our job, Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the moment of, who am I? What do I want from this life? What's my job? What am I doing here? Why did the Rabbi Shalom put me here? Rabbi Shalom, I am here. And I'm ready to do your Ratzon. Starting the next day after Rosh Hashanah, I can now start assessing my actions. And I'm going to discover, this doesn't fit so well. I need a plan how to deal with this. This is a good thing. I have to figure out how to get more of this. This is a little problematic. I'm going to speak to a Rebbe. I'm going to talk to someone and figure out how to handle this thing. Because I'm looking at my life from a different aspect, from a different perspective now. And I'm going to end with that bracha, that all of us should be Zaycha, to be able to bring in Rosh Hashanah and to be able to have this clarity on Rosh Hashanah, this absolute clarity of who we are, and then to be able to turn that clarity, of course, we're na'asisem beria chadasha, and to be able to turn that clarity into action in the days that follow, to be able to reassess and realign and be mechazek the strong things, and to weaken the things that we need to move away from, and to be able to find a wise path forward, to be able to fulfill our deepest desire, that all of us are going to hear that whisper inside of us of Va'ani kirvas alekim li tov, that what I truly want is kirvas alekim. Yashakayach, Agut Yar.